superintendent this evening, but really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I want to thank Pat and Valerie certainly for their invitation, and thanks to Hope as well for doing so much on our behalf. Just by a quick introduction of myself, and I won't spend too much time on this, I am a career K-12 educator. I started my career in I won't tell you when I started my career. I'll just tell you what I've done. I was a teacher, I was an assistant principal, a principal of a middle school in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then we moved to Northern Virginia. And in Northern Virginia, I've had an opportunity to be a middle school principal, a high school principal, an assistant superintendent for a region, and also a superintendent of schools in 2 different divisions, which is, by its sheer nature of being there, pretty amazing, since I'm only 28. Hey, why? Anyway, it's been quite a career. This is my 33rd year in public education, and I'm really proud to be here and learn. But I thought today, what I might do is take you just on a journey of what happened in one little city in Northern Virginia as we navigated the pandemic and got real comfortable with distance learning. So I'm going to take you back to March of 2020. And some of you may remember March of 2020. I remember it like it was yesterday. And it was Friday the 13th, not surprisingly. Friday the 13th was the day that the governor in Virginia asked all the school divisions to close indefinitely. So we thought, this is a 2-week closure, no big deal, we'll close, we'll come back together, everything will be good. But that isn't exactly what happened. So some of the issues and challenges that we faced. While we had some infrastructure in place with our work, we were not fully positioned to be able to become a division that went to a fully online environment. And I don't know that there is a division in the country that was prepared for what went on during that period of time. However, what we did have in our swath and repertoire, if you will, is we did have what we called a High-C program, which was our hybrid online learning program for our middle and high school students. So because we're small, and this is sort of one of the nuances of our division, we still offer everything that all of the other large comprehensive schools around the region offer, but we have so few staff to offer all of those offerings that one of the solutions that we have is online. I think one of the things about living in the greater DC area, for those of you that have lived there or live there currently, is that if there's one thing that we have an advantage on, it's knowing where some trends are sometimes prior to when they are about to occur. And what I mean by that was that we had an administrative retreat 2 weeks before March 13th. And that administrative retreat was at my house. And I had all of the administrators in the division there. And we had been listening to all of the local news and all of the chatter that's coming out of Washington. And I said to our administrative team, if we had to close for 10 days, how would it be if you went back this afternoon and asked your teachers to develop online lessons for 10 days? And each of the principals to a person said that would not be a problem at all. We can go back, we can work with our teachers, and we can start doing some instructional design with them so that when and if we get to a point that we are going to close, we'll be well prepared. Where we are now, and this is sort of just to put out there, it's really been helpful, again, to hear some of the conversations here at the conference, thinking about social emotional learning and thinking about the applications for SEL in a digitized world and in a distance world too, is we are this is where we're the same as everybody else. Is we're seeing a rise in behavior that we haven't seen before. And I think part of that is that kids missed some transition points, some pivotal sort of emotional and social transition points. For example, we have a whole group of kids that missed kindergarten. We have a whole group of kids that didn't transition from 6th grade or elementary to middle school or middle school to high school. And I think what we tried to do was we were so intent upon getting kids back into learning, whether it's in the online program or back into the school program, that we forgot to tell them how to act. You know, like we forgot to say, oh, and by the way, now that you're coming back, let's talk about how we respect each other, how we talk to each other, how we engage with each other. And we did a really nice job with that in the online environment. There were some really nice sort of expectations that were set by our teachers in that online environment, but I don't know that we necessarily did it to the extent that we could have coming back. We are seeing an increase in the need for mental health services, and a lot of those are coming through digital solutions for us, and that's really been great. Our focus on SEL going forward to really dig into what are the root causes of some of the things that we're seeing, and then we were able to fund some additional counselors and social workers. So I just share that as an example. From the perspective of leadership, and this is sort of where I live as a school superintendent, and where many of you live as deans and as others, provosts and presidents, is, one is we always must be flexible. And I don't mean wishy-washy, I just mean having a vision, sticking to that vision, but being really tight about that vision, but being loose about how we get there sometimes. Like our vision of excellence was to make sure that every kid had a high-quality online learning experience while we were out of school. How we got there was, took some time, and it was loose, but in the end, that ended up happening. And then leveraging your fans, communication is key, and collaboration, and when you collaborate with those people that are supportive and also not supportive, but really leveraging some of those strengths and those people that help you carry the message is really, really important. Knowing that one size doesn't always fit all is obviously part of why we're all here, because we know everybody needs something slightly different. And then lastly, being able to put the money where your mouth is or where your priorities are.